I said this was gonna be a video diary, so if you know me, you know I have very, very vivid dreams. They can last for what feels like days. I can fall in love. I've died. I've had to go through the afterlife before. Very vivid on nothing. No melatonin, no Benadryl, nothing, which they make them even more vivid sometimes. But the past 2 nights, I've had really, really vivid dreams that have made me fall in love for somebody that I never expected. I just want to tell you about some of the stuff that happened. So today is Friday, and Wednesday night I had a dream. I don't remember the whole thing, but the only part that I really want to touch on is I was with my older sister and we were in a Dollar General, and it was 4th of July weekend. Sorry, I just woke up, my voice. There were some really cute 4th of July pajamas there, but we didn't have money on us, and there was this man and this woman working at the counter, and they were like, we'll let you have them free, but whenever you're leaving, you two have to flash us. So a normal person would usually be like, what are you talking about? Maybe I'll just come back and pay later. No, I agreed to flash them. And so at some point, the Dollar General sort of morphed into a Chuck E. Cheese for obvious reasons. Chuck E. Cheese is amazing. In the back, where they sort of morphed into each other, I'm saying the Chuck E. Cheese is back here, Dollar General's in the front, where they morphed into each other, that's where the pajamas were. And I got distracted, and I went to go play a game, and I came back and they were all gone. But they had a Lana Del Rey shirt, and I took it. So I'm leaving, and I get in the back of my dad's truck. It's my dad up front, and I think my older sister, it's my dad driving, my sister up front. This is so TMI, but I can't control my dreams. I was about to flash this man and woman working at the Dollar General, and I look through the back window of my dad's truck into the bed, and I see 3 teenage boys, and one of them, your mind can't create new faces, and I'm really trying to figure out who this is, because he looks so familiar, and I know it's a real person, I just don't know who it is. And I'm gonna try to insert photos of people that he sort of looks like, but it's not gonna be him. Remember, he was wearing black sunglasses, and he was in his bathing suit. I was in my bathing suit too. And at one point, my dad was pulling the inner tube, which is a little float that you pull on the river, in case you don't know. But instead he was pulling it on the grass because the grass was wet, and I'm on it and I get slung off, and the hot guy with the sunglasses comes off, and we talk for a second, and then I wake up. But I'm telling you, he sort of reminded me of a teenage boy in the 80s that would be in a movie. So they sort of morphed together, but he was so hot. But my dream last night cannot be topped. And after this, I want a boyfriend so bad. I'm realizing how much I'm missing out. So I forgot how this sort of started, but everybody knows Hudson Williams and Connor's story from Heated Rivalry. I never watched the show. I was at my friend's house one day and we started it, and we maybe got 20 or 30 minutes in it, and then we saw them getting at it, and we were like, we cannot watch this. And she has a movie theater in her house, and we were watching it in the movie theater, and we're just we cannot be watching this. And so I never finished it, and she never did either. So I meet Connor and Hudson, and it's so funny to me because the whole time I was mainly going after Hudson Williams, and in the beginning I didn't even know Connor Story's name, and also kept getting confused because I knew Hudson Williams is Shane Hollander, and I like kept getting his name mixed up with Shane. Anyways, I meet them at some point. I think it was like at some sort of cookout, like a family cookout, and I hit it off with them pretty quick, and I'm saying both of them. And I'm telling you, in like the first 5 minutes of me meeting them, I had kissed, I'd made out with both of them, and I like it was like they were my boyfriend, like I was attached to them. Well, I'm driving down the highway, and I can't really paint a picture of how this highway is set up because it's a real one, and you probably haven't been there. But I was in the car running down the highway with my mom, and I look back at the building. It's like a house. I look back at the house on the side of the highway that just keeps getting smaller because we keep driving away, that I know that Connor and Hudson are staying in. So I do the only logical thing, and I jump out of the car, and my sister jumps out after me, and we take off running to go to the place that Shane and Hudson are staying in. I get there, and it is not just... Oh, and earlier in the story, I had been there before. Maybe that's where I was at when I met them. I don't know, my places change in my dreams. So I had been... I know, like, they share a room, and I know which bed is whose, and, like, I know who is who, and I know how to get to the room. And so I go inside once I make it all the way there, and I go into their room because it's like sort of like a motel. Like there's little rooms on the outside, and you go in the room, but after you go in the room, you can open the door and go into like the main part of the house. I go into the room, and it is not just Hudson and Connor there. It is many people that I do not recognize. And see, this is the thing that leads back to the other dream. These people, I didn't know who they were, so I couldn't see their face. Their face was like blurry in my head. So since I didn't know who they were, they didn't have a solid face. That's how I know that the guy in my other dream, I've seen him before, because I could notice every detail about his face. So I get in there, and I see both Connor and Shane are laying in bed with like several other people. Connor's in bed with like one other guy and a girl, and same for did I call him Shane? Connor and Hudson. See, I'm telling you, I kept getting their names mixed up in my dream too. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I thought that, like, I was, like, what happened to me? I'm like, I'm not gonna freak out. I don't want them to think I'm crazy and obsessed. So I walk up to Connor, and I sort of, like, shake his arm, and I forget what I say to him. I think I was just like, I'm here, good morning. And they're, like, asleep. Not everybody in the room is, but Hudson and Connor are, and the people in their bed. There were other people, like, laying around on couches, and I did not recognize them. And there were girls all over them. Each of them had a girl, and I was like, oh, do they have girlfriends? Was I over here messing around with guys with girlfriends? And so I leave the room, and I walk out, and the living room, by the way, this wasn't their house. It ended up being, like, my aunt and uncle's house, which that's not how their house looks like in real life, but you get to the living room, and it's like this big open room. It has like marble floors, and it has couches in it, and all of the walls are just like windows, like big glass windows. And I walk into the room, and on the first couch, I see the guy that I used to like from my school, the one that I still sort of like. And he's sitting there on his phone, and he looks up at me and just like sort of like looks at me like I'm weird, and I'm like, this is literally like both of my boyfriend's house. Like, why are you looking at me like this? Then I walk a little bit further, and my ex talking stage is sitting on the couch with his new girlfriend. And then I'm like, what is going on here? Like, really, what is going on? And then I see my older cousin. Then I just see more and more people from school appearing. And then I look out the window, and apparently, like, everybody had been joking, like, talking about this party at school. Look out the window, and there's all these older people from my school, like, taking pictures and videoing. And I was like, oh my god. Everybody leaves. And by the way, I had much more, like, personal moments with Hudson and Connor, but, like, I don't remember where they fit into the story. It was before all of this, but like, it was literally like I was dating them, like, they wanted to see me, and everybody leaves, and then it morphs into my cousin's house that lives down the road, and it's like, it's my river house, except it's their house, and they have like a sunroom in my dream that was Hudson and Connor's room. Well, this time the people in their room are my cousin, like my cousin, he's 22, and some of his friends, and they were all hanging out in there, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna go in there and act like that around them. And I like text Hudson, I was like, what did I say? I think I said like, come here, something. I was sitting in the living room with like my family, and I remember also at some point in my dream, like I was like, I went to bed in Hudson's bed. I also just think it's so funny because like I also like loved Connor in my story, but I always chose Hudson first. I just went and like watched a bunch of videos about them, and I still feel that way. They all of a sudden just become very cold towards me. Like, they hate me now. They don't really want to talk to me. I mean, they tolerate me, but they don't treat me like I'm their girlfriend. Maybe it's got the wrong impression the entire time. I was never their girlfriend, but they treat me like it. I was something. I go to the living room, and I saw my seat was taken by my cousin and his friends, and they all have like a space between them big enough for a person to sit down, but like if I sat down there, I'd be squeezed between the two. And I was like, can you guys get out of my seat? Like, you stole my seat. And they were like, no. And I was like, fine, like, I'm not sitting over here on this stool. And I went and sat between like two of them, and then all of a sudden, like, they like fell in love with me, and I was like, oh, not this again. And I flirted with them and stuff because I was like, YOLO, but in reality I was still hurt over Hudson and Connor. And there was a lot more to my dream. I feel like there was something about the back rooms in there, but I woke up very heartbroken and very like depressed feeling. I still feel that way. Like yesterday, I felt very sad about the Dollar General 80s guy, and now I feel very sad about Hudson Williams and Connor's story. But at least I know they exist, which I know I'm never gonna meet either of them, which I want to meet Hudson. But all of you people, if you're a Heated Rivalry fan, you are like, it's like I do know Hudson and Connor. I've had personal experiences with them now, and I've kissed both of them, and I've hugged both of them, and you haven't. So, and now I'm questioning, do I want to watch Heated Rivalry? I don't know. If I'm watching a movie about two girls getting it on, I don't care, because it's like, do your thing, whatever, like, I just don't care. But with Heated Rivalry, it's two guys, and it's like, I think Hudson Williams is hot, and I know he's a straight guy, and I'm watching this guy that I think is hot get with another guy instead of me. I don't know if this makes sense. It's not me being like homophobic, it's literally just me wishing that he would be with a girl in the show instead of a guy, because I want to think of it as me. But I don't know if I want to watch the show because I wasn't really a fan of the accents or anything when I watched it. And Hudson Williams, he wasn't acting in my dream. He wasn't acting like he was in this show. He was acting like he does in real life. And the crazy thing is, like, I have not seen anything about them at all recently. And so I didn't know much about how they acted. But I'm telling you, whenever I woke up, I went and looked them both up and I looked up their interviews and stuff. They act exactly how they do in real life as they did in my dream. I had no idea. And I say that means that I'm very connected to them. And now I want a boyfriend. Now I want Hudson Williams, and his girlfriend is actually really pretty. And like that really bothers me. Yeah, and I just wanted to think, I have this empty feeling in my heart now that I don't have these people that I grew a very close bond with in my sleep. And I just don't know what to do. I've had so many problems about having dreams and woken up and my dreams feel so real that I wake up and I feel depressed. Like, I'm telling you, I've had a dream. My friend Rena knows about this, but I've had a dream where I was pregnant and I was engaged to this guy named Jim, and he was fairly like wealthy. I think he was an actor or like a mechanic or something. I don't remember. I've had several boyfriends in my dreams, so I don't remember what he was actually. But we lived in this big like Americana, like big like 2-story house with a white picket fence, that type of stuff. And we were getting in fights because I remember it so clearly. We were getting in fights because my old boyfriend from high school, he was also like my ex best friend. I was still really close with him in my dream. And at this point, like, I am in my 20s. And by the way, like, I'm about to have my baby any day now. So this guy from high school, his name is Mason, I think. It's something like that. I think it starts with an M, and it's sort of like you wouldn't imagine like a grown man having that name. And he moves in down the road from us, and he starts coming around, and he has a very flirty attitude with me, and my husband does not like that at all. I'm telling you, Jim in my dream is literally like a husband from Lana Del Rey. This is a Lana Del Rey album dream. So every time Mason leaves, I get in trouble by my husband, or my fiance. And one morning it was like, oh no, right after he had came over one day, I was like, if you get jealous one more time, like, I swear to God I'm breaking up with you. The next morning, Mason calls me. Jim is in the living room reading the newspaper and drinking his coffee, and he calls me and I'm laying in bed, and it's like a little rotary phone on the side of the table, and he calls me and he's saying like he's going through his old stuff from high school, and he found like some old like film or like some old photos of us together back when we were dating, and like some of my old t-shirts, which I don't know why he had that, but and I was like, oh. He was like, do you still have stuff of me? And I was like, for some reason I knew this, even though this wasn't my dream. And I was like, yeah, I think they're up in my attic somewhere. I haven't pulled them out since I got with Jim though, because that would just be weird. And I hang up the phone and I walk in the living room, and my husband, my fiance, goes, who are you talking to? And I'm like, oh, it was Mason. And he freaks out again, And I'm like, okay, I am breaking up with you. I take off my ring and I throw it at him. Well, pretty sure I know I threw my ring at him and I left. And either I got in my car and I leaned my head up against the wheel, and I'm pretty sure I drove down the street to Mason's house and I talked to him about it. And then I went back home and me and my fiance talked about it. He was like, well, I'll let you stay here until the baby's born, which the due date at this point had been like 3 days. So he's like, I'll let you stay here until the baby's born, and then we're gonna figure out something else. And we're gonna figure out the whole, you know, who gets the kid situation. And so I end up having the baby, and I'm really depressed because I just lost the love of my life, even though I'm the one who broke up with him. But I'm in the hospital, I have my baby, and this is such like a vivid part of it for me. He's thinking of names, and he's like, do you have any names? And I'm just like cold. I'm just like, no, like, I don't have names. And he's like saying all these names, I'm like, no. And then he's like, what about Jasmine? Like, I've always really loved the name Jasmine, and no offense to people who have the name Jasmine, but I was like, no. Out of all things, you pick Jasmine? We are not having Jasmine, that's a stripper name. So then he was like, do you want Lila? I think that was the name. It was something like that. He was like, do you want Lila? And I was like, whatever, that's fine. And so the baby comes, and I end up moving into a trailer in a trailer park. A big downgrade from what I used to live in. And I had complications with my birth, so they gave me painkillers for it. And this is like trigger warning type of stuff, like trigger warning drug addict, trigger warning loss of children, I don't know. So I start taking those pills, and I end up getting addicted to it, and I become a drug addict. I'm taking care of my kid, and the thing is set up to where Jim comes and gets the kid like every weekend, every other weekend. By the way, I'm doing so bad. I do not have money for food because I do not have a job. I was just like a housewife, and I literally am living off of bread and oranges. Living on bread and oranges, no. I gotta wrap this up. I keep running out of storage, but so one day Jim comes to get the baby on like a weekend, and I'm passed out on the couch, and I have her. This is like embarrassing for me to tell because this was actually just me being a terrible person in my dream. And by the way, this was one of the situations where my dream lasts for several days, and I have had these a couple times. And so Jim comes in and he wakes me up. He's like, what the heck? What is wrong with you? And he takes my kid away. And I forget how all of this happens because I was high out of my mind. But I end up losing custody of my kid, and I'm a drug addict who lives in a trailer park in the middle of Florida. Anyway, that was all that I have to say today. If anyone else has this thing with dreams or has crazy stories that are similar to mine, please tell me so I know I'm not alone, because my friends never have these. My friend Rena has had one once where she was pregnant with twins, but that's it. And that was a very long time ago, and I'm still having these dreams, and I have for years. But again, one time I had a dream I died, and if you want to know what happens in the afterlife, at least in the dream world, you get shot, everything turns to black and white, or that's what happened to me, I got shot. Everything turns to black and white in slow motion, then it slowly fades to black, and you're in like a hologram tube, and it's like blink twice to take the bullet out. It's like, it'll be stuff like twist your neck around to like clean the wound, you know. You have to like do stuff like that, like it's a PlayStation controller, and you have to hold X to something, I don't know. I do have very traumatizing dreams, so please tell me if you do too, and I promise I'm not on drugs at the moment. And yeah, please tell me how to get out of like a slump because I miss the love of my life. And please don't tell me to watch Heated Rivalry because that's not gonna help me. It's not my Hudson and Connor in that show. It's the Russian guy and Shane Hollander. Anyways, bye guys. Love you.